Right, I'm live. I think I'm live. Let me know if you're listening and if we are live. Sorry about the slight delay in getting onto the stream tonight. This is My Left Eye, General Election 2024 live stream. Very warm welcome to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Apologies for the delay in getting on tonight. Slight technical delay and whatnot. Hope you're very well. This is the run up to the exit poll in the election. So we're going to see what the exit poll reckons is going to happen. This is part one of three live streams tonight, and thank you very much for joining me here on My Left Eye. I'm your host, Lefty. We are really pushing on this channel for a good outcome for socialist grassroots parties, independents, and the Green Party as well. We're done with the Tories, obviously. We're done with Starmer. He's no alternative, and the Lib Dems alike. We've got to go for real left-wing socialist parties. Obviously, it's very unlikely that, say, for example, the Green Party are going to win the election tonight. If they do, even though this is a faceless channel, I will go on live cam and do the Macarena if the Green Party won the election. However, there are still some glimmers of hope for the future. We have to be realistic about the situation that we're in. I've spoken so much on the live streams and in videos about the situation that we've been in over the last 5 years and many decades before that as well. But we have to look forward and see what we can get out of this election, and if those grassroots parties, independents and the Greens make some serious gains, then that could lay the groundwork for some real potential change, not the sleeves rolled up Starmer-esque change. So we're going to be going over to the election exit poll very shortly. Hope you've all been out there. Hope you've voted. It's very important that you use your vote. I will be revealing, although it might be not much of a surprise to many regular viewers, what my vote has been, and going into some of the hot seats, answering the hot questions as we go through the streams. First of all, let's dip into Keith's Fondue Lounge. This man could potentially be Prime Minister within hours. We're going to have to see. I mean, he's obviously had his sleeves rolled up, calling for change. If it's such a change, then why did Cameron and Sunak do the same thing? But we're going to dip into Keith's Fondue Lounge. Normally this is just reserved for Sunday night streams, for those of you who aren't regulars on My Left Eye. But just for a couple of minutes, I'm going to go over what we can expect this evening in terms of my schedule and what I think could be the most likely outcome. So get your bowls and spoons ready and whatever you like to dip into your hot cheese, and we're going to go to Keith's Fondue Lounge in preparation for the exit poll in about 3 minutes' time. And in those few minutes, I'm going to welcome everybody listening live or on a replay. Welcome Anna's in the chat. Hello to you too. Hope you're well this general election evening. So Keith's there, potentially the new Prime Minister. Over his shoulder, you'll notice Tony Blair and Peter Mandelson there. Absolute salt of the earth characters, I'm sure that you'll agree, as you lodge your tongues firmly into your cheek. No, of course, these are the puppet masters of Starmer. Often a lot of what Starmer says will have been fed to him almost word for word by Peter Mandelson and Tony Blair. Margaret Hodge peering over the shoulder, just goodness knows what's happening on the other side of that coach, as we said before. I'd rather not know. I'd rather not know at this stage. My main concern is for the dog. Perhaps Lisa and Andy at the back, if that is her, was given the responsibility of looking after this, it looks like some sort of collie dog, but just get them out of there. And there's probably a nice couple at the back there, just in front of that retro 70s-esque wallpaper. Are we in for 5 years of fondue? Who knows? Who knows? I've made my predictions already. If Labour do win, I don't think it'll be the super majority that people have been talking about. There could even be a hung parliament. We'll see. We've got 5 seats I'm expecting the Green Party to get. There's also hot seats which concern a number of parties and a number of interesting factors to them. Going to be talking about those as well. But without further ado, I think we'll just nip over to... we're going to stick with a Beeb, I think, for this one. Just let me get this all queued up, if you'll bear with me one moment. Just take that to live.
Our teams are poised, ready to gather and then verify every single result as they begin to come in. And of course, at the heart of it is Professor Sir John Curtis, who's...
And it's Kussenberg. Kussenberg there, of course. Well, that was very telling. The legally reveal part. I'm just going to turn this down a bit. It's coming through a bit loud in my cans. They're doing the big booming music thing. Here, let's just go across now. So yeah, big dramatic music, yada yada yada. That looks like a Davy. Yeah, I'll leave that set where it is for now. Hope you can all hear that coming through okay. Just one sec. Looks like my mic's coming through. Not sure about the... There we go. This might be a minute or two behind in terms of lag. But that being the case, please don't give any spoilers. It's just turned 10 now, 10 bells.
In this first July election since 1945. 326 seats I needed to win. So, here we go.
Here we go.
And
well, fuck
10.
me.
Exit poll is predicting a Labour landslide.
Sir Keir Starmer will become Prime Minister with a majority of around 170 seats.
The exit poll predicts that Labour will have captured 410 seats, adding 209.
Okay, Labour 410, Conservatives 131, Lib Dem on 61, referendum 13, SNP 10. Wow, SNP are down quite a bit there as well. Plaid Cymru on 4. And the Greens on 2, which will be at 1. Obviously, I'm expecting them to get at least 5 seats. This is somewhat contradictory to the predictions that I've made, but, well, let's see. That's just the exit poll.
These are the first indications of what may unfold, but a moment of history beckons. Chris.
Blimey, just take a look and take in those numbers. The Conservative Party so often an election...
Good evening, Mr. Pike Bishop. Thanks for joining us on the chat.
Tonight,
Hope you're well. Thanks for joining us on the stream as well. Hello to everyone. I know a lot of YouTubers and people on Twitch are doing simultaneous streams as well, but thank you for joining me so much here on My Left Eye. Hope you're very well this evening. So that exit poll has just come out. Labour with over 400 seats according to the exit poll. Tories on 131, Lib Dems 61, not referendum, reform on just 13. So much for main opposition, according to this exit poll. Plaid Cymru on 4, SNP are down. That one just keeps ticking over there. Greens on 2. Okay. I'll just mute that for one moment. Want to go over this. So this is predicting a large Labour majority, of course. Nowhere near a slim or hung parliament, as I stuck my neck out and perhaps predicted. But, however, Lib Dem making serious gains is by stealth, something I've been referring to. Let's see if that plays out. Reform on 13. Yeah, just pure hyperbole that there could be perhaps the main opposition party. The Greens on 2 seats, but I think at least 5. We'll see how that plays out. In terms of the hot questions being answered, that does mean that Lib Dem won't be the main opposition party. For example, the Tories are going to hang on to 131 seats according to the exit poll, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of time to go. I'm going to be with you through the night. This is just part 1 of 3. There are going to be some small breaks in between the streams as we watch the results come in, but just some initial reaction to this exit poll. Yeah. I'm hoping it's probably within the 70-80% accuracy region, and if so, hopefully that'll mean more gains for Greens and Independents. You're very welcome to let us know how you voted this evening. I don't mind disclosing that I voted for the Green Party. We'll see what happened in their constituency. I'm not going to say which one it is. I'm not going to, if the result comes up while I'm on live, I'm not going to say what that might be. People who were on the last live stream, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, have been predicting whether Newcastle or Sunderland would get to the first declaration. That's obviously a traditional contest. And we did have predictions and votes on both sides. So if you're from either of those constituencies, please do let us know which way you want that to go. There's, like I said, hot questions to be answered, hot seats. We're going to see what's going to be happening as well. Even if this is a Labour majority, this could still be producing some interesting results in the hot seats that I've been talking about for weeks on the channel now, and now it's all coming to a conclusion. So will my next video or live stream be about a Tory or Labour government? According to the exit poll, that seems to have been clearly answered. This would not be any real solution for the country. Parts of this footage coming from the Beeb will be torturous nonetheless, whatever the outcome. But either way, this isn't any real formative change for the country, for the economy, in terms of what we're doing against the climate, in terms of what we're doing against so many other socio-economic issues. This is just literally changing faces in the Houses of Parliament while the same excuses are made, the same policies come forward, the same ideology is produced, and it is that of the right wing of neoliberalism. What Keir Starmer has done to the Labour Party is absolutely abhorrent, even if they do win this election, which looks likely according to the exit poll. That is certainly nothing to gloat about. They've gutted the Labour Party out of what it is really made of. During the Corbyn years, there was real hope, but either side of that time, from 2015 to 2020, there really have been some absolutely abhorrent moves to turn the Labour Party into another right-wing neoliberal imitation. Okay, right. So that's the exit poll. That's how it's played out. Let us know your thoughts in the chat. I'm just going to quickly turn and look to those. Joe Bird got your vote, Mr. Pike Bishop. I will check back with you later too. Thank you very much for joining us on the stream. Yeah, I'm hoping that since Starmer's been endorsed by the Sun, that the vote for him is going to have absolutely dumped in Merseyside. Annas, many senior Labour MPs might lose their seats to independents and Workers' Party candidates. I would hope so. I would definitely hope so. This is an exit poll, and normally they're a fairly accurate poll. I try not to pay too much attention to the regular opinion polls that you'll see, even though I've referred to them once or twice on the channel. I'm more in favour of projections, but also you have to understand the fact that a lot of people don't choose who they're going to vote for until they go into the ballot. I spoke to quite a few people today who have said that they were going to go one way and then they walked into the ballot booth and voted another way. And I'll be perfectly frank if I tell you that some of those were going to vote for Labour and then they voted elsewhere, not for the Tories or Reform. They voted Green. So yes, Annas, that's one of the hot seats. Andrew Feinstein taking on Keir Starmer in Holborn St Pancras. Let's just hear what Angela Rayner's saying here.
Angela Rayner, Clive Myrie here. You're saying you're not counting your chickens. What kind of chickens might they be? What kind of chickens would you like to see in terms of a future job description in a Keir Starmer government?
She's saying that she was in opposition for 9 years and she couldn't make change, but really, there's not going to be any change. What you should really want to be bringing in the Labour Party's democratic socialism, and that is not what Labour are going to be offering the British public.
Hopefully in a Labour government that can bring about that change they desperately need, and it will be a team effort. The Shadow Cabinet have been working well together and the Labour team are very keen to make sure that we put country before party and that we serve in whichever way that Keir Starmer would like us to.
Angela Rayner, thank you so much. Bravely standing in the rain there in your own constituency.
Whoa, that was
Thanks
a bit
very much indeed for
worryingly...
Bit of a smile at the very end.
At the very end.
Not only was that a bit robotic from Angela Rayner, just very worryingly subservient, shall we say. We will do whatever Keir Starmer tells us to do. Kind of shades of that. And Angela used to be such a passionate Member of Parliament. She also has to respect that a lot of her constituents support a ceasefire in Gaza as well in this seat. I'll be honest with you, in the opening weeks of the campaign after the election was announced, I was considering Ashton-under-Lyne as a potential hot seat. A lot of seats, a lot of constituencies were in my consciousness because of the ongoing situation with the occupation of Palestine, of course. And Ashton-under-Lyne was one of those in particular. Another one that is on the hot seats list tonight. I'll be bringing the full list up very shortly. Is, of course, Rochdale. There are other seats where the issue of the occupation of Palestine is going to come into people's consciousness, so we're going to see how that's going to play out in the ballot this evening. Oh my God, it's fucking Peter Mandelson. Jesus Christ. Oh no. Oh God, they've got Mandelson on. Right, okay. I thought he was just like literally locked up in a cupboard and was not allowed out, and they only speak to him through like a little hole and some sort of valve. They're not allowed to look at him or even acknowledge that he is there, but they do have to say and do everything that he dictates to them. Mandelson's there.
Her chance of winning at 25%. This is all on the balance of probability given the exit poll. And Jacob Rees-Mogg, arch-Brexiter in north-east Somerset, his chance of winning is 47%.
I would love Rees-Mogg to go. I would love Rees-Mogg to go.
We're going to be looking out for. And I can also
well,
tell
all,
you
know,
on the information that we have so
more
far,
on 25%.
Labour has pretty much
Jeremy, it is written down here somewhere. Do excuse, I've got some notes. I do know his name. It's here. Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt. That's he.
Our guest here in the studio. Steve Baker will talk about our projections that say, I'm afraid for you, show you losing your seat in a second. But Peter Mandelson, welcome to both of you.
But they're only dragging in more neoliberal, arsery. Oh, God. Bile. This has got to be the first time he's been on TV in ever.
She's going to carry big responsibilities in the government if this exit poll is right. I, however, am allowed to be a little bit more gobsmacked. I think that an electoral meteor has now struck planet Earth. In a sense, it's not surprising given everything the country's gone through over the last 10 years. I think it would have required sort of Superman as leader of the...
Oh my God, what the... It's only been back on the TV for literally 40 seconds and already he's coming out with the most fantastical arsery. You just... This is no genius feat by any means, Mandelson.
Do you think you've lost?
Well, I came into this campaign knowing I was widely expected to lose. I do think the dynamic in Wickham is slightly different to what's generally expected in the polls. I know how the constituency works. Happy to talk about it if you like. So I think my chances are quite a bit better, but I could easily have lost very heavily. It is just possible that there's a path to winning narrowly, but we'll see in the morning. But yeah, I absolutely do accept that the polls indicate that very slim chance. It's going to be an incredibly difficult night. You know, if it's the range between, I think, 110 and 241 Conservative MPs losing their seats, that's going to be an extremely painful night, not only for them, but also for all their staff.
But do you accept that you've lost as a party?
Oh, yeah, I think that to sit here, I mean, I think Angela was being far too coy. I am certainly expecting Angela to be Deputy Prime Minister within a few days, and I think Peter's showing his political experience by sitting here, being able to accept that Labour have had a landslide. It's...
Oh, well, he's expected his loss to the extent that he's literally just come off of a phone call for job positions in executive banks. That's the way it goes.
COVID.
You made quite a lot of that stress with you and your Eurosceptic colleagues. You made things very difficult for people who were trying to run the country.
Indeed we did, but I have to say, if we had not resisted the deal over which I resigned from the government, I'm quite sure the Conservative Party would have split sooner and we would have lost power to Jeremy Corbyn, which I don't think even Peter would have welcomed. So I'm not sorry that we did that. I think it would have been an absolute...
Yeah, even Peter Mandelson, who's an absolute piece of crap, wouldn't have stood for that. You know, what's he... They've just... They've teamed up arm in arm.
Conservative MPs lose their seats. It's going to be a very, very painful time for them, for their families, for their staff, for the Conservative Party. And obviously, all of us are very worried about the future of the country under a Labour government, even, of course, Peter's entitled to relish it.
OK, highly unlikely that Rishi Sunak can stay on as leader if all this comes to pass. And if he does go, you're going to run, aren't you?
I don't want to get into that tonight. This story only emerged because there was a recording of a private speech that I gave, and so as a result, it ended up in the press. But
you did not say it.
What's said is said, but what the situation for me is that I've got a great deal of respect for Rishi Sunak. I think he's a man with a brilliant mind, a great heart for our country.
D-Day, announcing this thing in the rain.
But, you know, when that happened,
Sky TV.
I understand from my own...
gambling.
My own colleagues and some in the press that it took a while before even journalists realised that D-Day was a mistake. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, obviously it was. I think for those of us with a background in the armed forces, it was plainly a mistake and he had to stay to the end. But the mistake was made. But, you know, when you look at his capacity to execute and grip detail, it's terrific.
So, hopefully they're not just going to line up a series of Tories to take it from Mandelson all night while Mandelson licks his lips like the absolute weirdo that he actually is. But we'll see what happens with that.
Potentially than what you were able to do with Labour from 92 to 97. When you think
it's a lot more. It's a lot more.
Yeah.
Before 1997, we had gone up in 1987 under Neil Kinnock. We went up again under Neil Kinnock to 1992. We were on an upward trend heading towards 1997.
It actually makes me want to vomit listening to him talking like this.
We went down in 2019. I don't think there has
No.
ever
Or
been a part
just skip over 2017 very conveniently, Mandy. Just very conveniently skip over 2017 because that didn't fucking happen, did it? 2017 wasn't a thing. Put your head in the sand. That didn't happen.
I can't think in history what precedent exists for it.
All right. We're going to have to end it there for now, but do stay with us. Peter Mandelson, Steve Baker. I know you're going to go off to your own count, but stay with us for a while.
Now, as we've said, we are right around the country. We're at every count, I believe. We can show you pictures of where things are getting busy already. There's Newcastle and Sunderland. Forgive me, Blythe and Sunderland. Now, they are very eagerly racing each other to be the quickest count of the night. They are actually running with those ballot boxes. Look at them there. It's a fierce competition, very, very fierce. And we hope that one of them will come with the first result of the night sometime after 10 past 11. So we'll keep an eye on those counts.
Yeah, they really do. But anyway, just quickly talking over that, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. There's a lot of competition, not competition, but there's a lot of other live streamers showing this tonight. Please do subscribe to join the chat, hit the thumbs up button.
Well, nothing from the Prime Minister, as he still is right now. We're outside his house. We've got a car, actually, that's just left the grounds of the house. It's been so quiet here this evening. No cars going in or out. All we could hear all evening were the sound of the wood pigeons. We could smell the cows in the field next door. The curtains are closed, as far as we can see. The shutters are closed, but the Prime Minister is inside and no doubt absorbing the news of that exit poll. And if it's accurate or near accurate, he will be contemplating the comprehensive defeat, the brutal battering that he has led his party to. We're expecting to hear from him in the early hours of the morning, about 3:30 to 4 o'clock. That will be the first time we think we're going to hear from the Prime Minister, and that will be at the Count just down the road at the local leisure centre, where he is hoping, despite what's happening, it would appear, to many of his Conservative MPs, he is hoping to be re-elected as the Tory MP for Richmond and Northallerton.
All right. Victoria, thank you.
Let's look then, we've been showing you some of the forecasts of how the Tory vote has fallen away in different parts of the country. Look at that. In the north, their vote is forecast to have dropped by 24%, forecast to have dropped by 29% in the Midlands. So there you can see Bridget Phillipson. Now, she looks very happy. She's been the Shadow Education Secretary, one of Keir Starmer's close allies, smiling away at her account in Sunderland. And if the poll is anything like right...
Yeah, we'll take a look at how this affects hot seats and hot questions shortly. I will be taking a break at some point, and I'll be coming back as the results start to come in live. As I obviously said, there are pictures of people running around with ballot boxes in Newcastle and Sunderland. Quick, young person, take the box over there. Take it over there. Do it for democracy. As much as that means in the end.
Before then, he'll have a chat with the people who are already counting the votes, wander around, see what's going on. And then,
so they talk about Holborn St Pancras, which is one of the hot seats. Can Andrew Feinstein pull off a surprise win?
is he going to go home? Unlikely, I would have thought. Will he go to Labour HQ? Will he go somewhere else?
I hope so. But as Anna's pointed out in the chat, it's a small chance. It's a small chance.
Okay, Fiona, thanks so much. Keep a close eye and give us a holler if you see...
Oh, we'll keep a close eye.
Thank you for now.
Yeah,
On my left eye.
The exit poll numbers on Scotland, but lots of health warnings there because we don't have as many areas that are...
Don't need a reminder from Cussenberg.
...in the figures for the exit poll, so it's a little bit trickier. But we are going to get a bit of a progress report on the evening from Kirsty Walk, who's at the BBC's headquarters at Pacific Quay up there in Glasgow. Hi there, Kirsty.
Hello there, and with me I have Angus Robertson, who is the Cabinet Secretary of the Scottish Government and the former SNP Westminster leader.
Well, yeah, so this exit poll predicts the SNP are going to be down, like pretty 38 seats down. And can they hang on to a majority? I did say I thought they'd be down, but still be able to hang on. That remains to be seen.
We could be sitting with the new Secretary of State for Scotland.
Well, let's underline in bold if, but what we've seen over the last 6 weeks of this election campaign is a change Labour Party offering change to the public, and the public, I hope, have responded to that. And if the exit poll turns out to be correct, and it is just a poll, but it does chime with what we've seen in the other polls in recent days and in recent weeks, and therefore that's the kind of thing we've been getting back on the doorstep. But we used to be very, very cautious because a lot of these seats, of course, were very, very big SNP majorities, and therefore they could all be very, very tight indeed.
Exit poll to be profoundly right. What's your response to the exit poll?
Well, obviously I'm disappointed, and congratulations to Ian and colleagues. I think it's in line with recent polls over recent weeks that was predicting a Labour victory both at a UK level but also in Scotland. And of course, I'm disappointed. I was the leader of the SNP in the House of Commons for 10 years.
170 majority, according to the exit poll.
Obviously disappointing, but I will agree with Ian. I think it's important. I think the public has just been so sick of Conservative UK governments that they have wanted them out. And I think the Labour message of vote Labour, vote Keir Starmer for change, I think that has resonated. And I
on
think
the Scottish doorsteps.
and on the Scottish doorsteps as well.
But the idea of soft SNP supporters vote for Labour to get the Conservatives out. However, it could just be a straightforward verdict on actually what the SNP has been doing in government in Scotland, because after all, you've been there since 2007. That's a very long time. And people, by and large, the support for independence is kind of sticking where it often is, in the late 40s. But actually, maybe they just feel that the SNP hasn't delivered for them.
Well, if it was as simple as that, the SNP would be getting nearly 50% of the vote. It's not the way that Scottish politics work. This was a UK election where people had the opportunity of kicking out Rishi Sunak, getting rid of the Boris Johnson nightmare, getting rid of the Liz Truss government and the record of total Tory incompetence. And I think the change message chimed. We know that. It's a very powerful message. And I think voters in Scotland decided in a UK election to vote to change a UK government, and the Labour Party managed to land the message that they were the principal vehicle to do that.
But if this exit poll is in any way right, and you are in government with an extremely comfortable majority, it still means that you're going to have to deliver for Scotland in the next 2 years, because of Scottish parliamentary elections in 2 years' time. And some of the things, and we will interrogate this later, that you've promised and offered may not be possible.
They'll just be making the same excuses as the Tories in Scotland and in England. That's all we're going to be subjected to over the next 5 years, if this exit poll's right. I would strongly hope that more people would vote for stronger climate policies on Palestine. But no, they've just, it looks like they've held the nose and fallen for the change. The sleeves rolled up. It's wholly disappointing, more than anything.
Yeah, predicting these things early on in Scotland. But if the numbers are anywhere near where they are now, where does that leave the SNP and potentially pushing for a second independence referendum?
Nothing.
First of all, there is no extrapolation in Scotland. The SNP 10 is disputed in here, but actually, just say it is 10. It certainly sets the cause of independence back, but you've also got these Scottish elections for the Scottish Parliament. People vote in different ways. This could be it could, as Angus Robertson said, be a protest vote against the Conservative government. It could, as Ian Murray says, be a verdict on what the SNP's record in devolved things like the NHS, like education is. So actually, it's a much more complex Rubik's Cube in Scotland. It's not just one chamber of power, it's a second chamber of power as well.
Great. OK. Kirsty, thank you.
I think we could hear them in the background arguing over the numbers and whether they really believe the poll. But tonight, there will be no arguing with Jeremy Vine's numbers. He's in Cardiff for the night, and we are going to cross to him now. Jeremy, let's see what you've got.
We'll be getting the poll. Oh, he's got here's the big graphics wall. Look how much money we've spent on this shit. Well, this is the way it's gonna go down, and perhaps...
Each time I change the board, and these are the most marginal seats, the most marginal of all for the Conservatives going into this election. Burnley with a 127 majority last time. Then Leon Atherton, new seat, 293 majority. Really slender majorities. High Peak, 590. And then you've got the twin seats of Bury South, Bury North, etc. As we go down the boards, the seats gradually get better defended and the Conservatives have a better chance of keeping them. Now let's show you what the exit poll is telling us. The results we put up, of course, are not results yet. They are going to flash because they're just predictions. But you can see this board. Most of the blue has been washed off this board, except for, interestingly, listening to Kirsty there, the Scottish seats. The Conservatives are defending their Scottish seats better than anywhere else. But it's a wash of red and Liberal Democrat orange as the opposition parties are just ripping through this first Tory board. So these seats changing hands, all the ones except Scotland. and Carshalton, Wimbledon, the top 2 Lib Dem targets, by the way. OK, let's move on. Let's do the next 50 Tory seats. And again, you can see what's happened. Let's have a look. We move it on. You see what's happened here. So seats 50 to 100, 51 to 100. Hendon goes, Truro goes, Wrexham goes, Hazel Grove goes Lib Dem, Plaid Cymru in Cyffredin. Dumfriesshire again stays Conservative. They're somehow defending their Scottish seats. But look at the damage here. We still haven't seen until we get...
It's part where everyone's looking on the wall for their constituency, or as close to your constituency as you can find. But how accurate this exit poll might be, who knows? Like, let's go over to... Let's just go over to the hot seats. Just also, before we go and take a look at the hot seats and hot questions, to see how the exit poll relates to the outcome of those, I just want to do a shout out to the members, of course. If you can see your name on this wonderful list of people, then thank you very much for your solidarity with the channel. Also, if you'd like to add your name to this list of very kind people, you can do so for just 99p, and you will get a variety of perks, which you can find out by clicking the button just underneath the stream. Also, if you're watching on a replay, do consider checking out the Buy Me a Coffee page. The link for that is in the description of this stream and the channel as well. And also, don't forget, super thanks are active. If you want to get my attention during the live stream, please do consider using super chats as well. Thanks a lot for being here this evening on My Left Eye. So over to, first of all, hot seats. Actually, there's not much of an indication as to what's going to be happening in individual seats there yet. For green seats, these are the predicted ones. I've predicted at least 5, but the exit poll is predicting only 2. We'll see what happens with that. But hot questions. Will the Tories lose 150 seats? Yes, according to the exit poll. They've surpassed that with over 200 seats being lost. Will Lib Dem become the main opposition party in England? Apparently the answer to that, according to the exit poll, would be no. Even though Lib Dem looks set to make some serious gains. Again, according to the exit poll, the Tories have still become the main opposition party. Will the SNP gain or lose seats? It does look almost certain that they look set to lose seats, but will they cling on to a majority? Who knows? Will there be a hung parliament? Far from it, according to the exit poll. Starmer getting a clear majority there, which ain't that great, as we know. It's not that great. I'm hoping that the Greens and Independents can make some surprising changes to the expected results from that exit poll, but that's just the latest. So we'll be coming back to the hot seats, one to watch soon. And for those of you who aren't familiar, you might be new to the channel, or you've just forgotten, this is the list. You've got Chingford and Woodford Green, which I'm hoping will go to an independent, Faiza Shaheen. Bristol Central, which could go to the Green Party. Hoping it does. Islington North, of course, Jeremy Corbyn's seat. Hoping for an independent gain there, of course. Ilford North, Wes Streeting's seat, and hoping that he's denied access to the NHS. Rochdale, wondering if George Galloway will retain his seat there for the Workers' Party of Britain. Remains to be seen. Holborn and St Pancras, Keith's seat, just mentioned earlier, there's a slim chance that Andrew Feinstein could take the seat away from potentially the Prime Minister. What a Ferrari there would be there, but not too sure. Birkenhead, that's where there could be another massive swing towards the Greens as well. Clacton, keep Farage out in Clacton, we're hoping, despite the calls from the Daily Mail and the like. North Durham as well is another parachute seat. Luke Akehurst has been parachuted in to North Durham, despite the fact that he is from Oxford. So they're some of the ones to watch. Also, I'd like to keep an eye on Count Binface's campaign in Northallerton. It's alleged that I paid a visit there recently. Right, let's get back to the footage.
2019, and it took 38 seconds for the first ballot box to come in. It took 30 seconds today. It's a more streamlined operation here, I will say, but as it's been so strenuously pressed upon us, accuracy is key, not speed. I know you've seen the pictures of outside this leisure centre here in Blythe of cars coming in and people running in with boxes, but this is a really, really streamlined operation. There are 18 teams counting. They are prioritising the first constituency. There are 4 here, Blythe and Ashington. So that will be the first to be declared. And about 15 minutes ago, we were told, look, expect that in around an hour. But, you know, a little bit vague there because the expectation is that could come in at around 11:30. But it may be sooner, you never know. I know we're all waiting for the first results. 4 constituencies here, all new because of boundary changes. Blythe and Ashington, Cramlington and Killingworth, Hexham and Northumberland North. So the secret, what is the secret apart from the running that you are seeing? Well, the secret is lots of people, very little downtime to keep the operation streamlined, but accuracy is key. I've also managed to steal off one of the tables. I don't know if you can see, you might be able to see on the tables, a little thimble because I'm seeing the lightweight paper that's being used. That is very much part of the key as well.
So this is just going to be a change of faces, but the same policies, ideology, and so on, according to the exit poll. Another 5 dreary years.
Runs through the generations. Just remember, in 2019, Blythe lost out from being the first count because
we had a real chance for change, and Keith soon put that down. We'll see what independents and Greens can potentially claw back.
At the moment, they're in such a huddle. They're keeping things very, very, very low key. So they're not saying a lot. But I can tell you, I have to give a very special mention to the 6th formers of St Aidan's and St Anthony's Catholic High Schools before I talk about anyone else, because they are the kids that you have seen on your screens running these boxes in for the last half hour or so. They've been having special training. There is a human chain from the car park up the steps to the back door here, and then we see a 6th former running. So these are 17 and 18-year-olds.
Also, just a reminder, this is part 1 of 3. I'm going to be taking a break in about 15-20 minutes, and then come back in as the results start to come in. But I will be through with you until the actual end result comes in. However uninspiring that result may or may not be, yeah, I'll be with you here on My Left Eye. Thanks a lot for being here tonight. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up on the stream. Help us reach a wider audience.
Naga as well. We will. Naga's looking. Oh, Naga's looking daggers there. It's great to see you both. Thank you. I was actually one of those.
Wonder how many Tories put bets on this happening, by the way.
I was one of those.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, up in Bolton, Lancashire.
Well, there you go. Well, we hope you put in a good shift. Well, we see
a long time. Peter Mandelson's impressed by that, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, St Aidan's, we salute you, and those two aren't normally up this late, so we'll be going straight back to them when there is actually a result. As the night goes on, so much is going to come in. One of the things that will come in, Steve Baker, is your own result in Wickham.
Yes.
We need to let you head off to that count shortly. But before you go,
yes.
before you were diplomatically saying you were sure that Rishi Sunak would do the right thing by the party?
No, by the country.
And by the... Well, I just want to be clear. What did you mean by that? Do you mean he's going to have to resign?
Well, so I think obviously this is an extremely difficult moment for the Conservative Party. Clearly he'll be handing power over to Keir Starmer. But how he behaves as leader of the Conservative Party is something I'm sure he'll weigh extremely carefully. You know, we've just had a torrid time, a dreadful result. There will be undoubtedly recriminations, there'll be shock, there'll be anger, denial. We'll go through a grieving process, then we'll have to, at some point, earn the right to be heard again.
But would it be credible for him to be the man at the helm when it looks like he's just led you to your worst ever defeat, or one of them, if the exit poll is revised a little bit?
I'm sure he will be reflecting on whether his role might be to be there for a while to get us through the recriminations phase. But as I say, it's a matter for him. And knowing him reasonably well, I believe his heart and his mind will be set on what is right for the country. And part of what is right for the country, and your viewers may not like it, but it's having a functioning Conservative Party, and I'm sure he will be mindful of that.
And as part of those recriminations, though, I just wonder, do you feel that the Conservative Party listened too much to people like you on the right, had been a strong Eurosceptic, or do you believe that actually the wrong thing was to bring in lockdowns, to allow the state to grow, to allow the tax burden to rise to its highest ever level? What's your view on that?
I think that there's a great deal at stake. One thing is events plus technology. The combination of WhatsApp and Twitter is completely different to when Peter was last in government. I mean, only really since about 2017 have we all ended up on WhatsApp. It's produced an enormous acceleration in the public debate. COVID obviously has had a profound impact on people. Brexit doesn't explain what's happening in the United States or France. Personally, I think that what has happened for 50 years is that Western states have been living far beyond their means and ultimately paying for it with cheap money.
But hang on.
And that has created a sense of injustice and the world not working.
But hang on, do you think that it looks like you're going to get smashed tonight because you were too much to the left or too much to the right?
On the end, I don't think we will be able to have those sort of abstract conversations.
Right, I want to know what you think. Okay, guys, jump in the chat, jump in the comments if you're watching on a replay. Well, by the time you comment, the result might have come out, whatever. But what do you think about the exit poll? How accurate do you think that's going to be? I've been over how that might affect the hot questions. We're not sure how that might affect the hot seats at the moment. But I'm looking forward to finding out the results of those, as well as how many seats the Green Party and independent candidates will win as well. Socialist independents, of course. So just to review, looks like the Labour Party have got a big majority of almost 300 seats. Conservatives way down on 131. Lib Dem making a massive revival, even further than what I predicted. 2-3 times the 11 seats that they had previously. Now they're up to 61 and clearly outdoing Referendum there, even though Referendum have made gains. They're brand new, so anything that they do get is going to be a gain by fucking default anyway. Plaid Cymru are also up. SNP are down. Greens apparently up by 1 seat. But again, let's hope for 5, 10, maybe more.
I may well have lost my seat in a few hours. That, as you've articulated, is what is expected.
Less than 1%.
This story
swept
is
away
basically
in a few hours, and I shall think that many
they're
of your
watching
viewers
his
watching this will
live
be cheering.
execution, as it were.
But it is just a matter of fact that my
he's not
colleagues
even.
asked me to sort out Conservatives for
He's
Britain
there.
before the
He's not even
referendum.
at
I was asked to sort out
the results because he knows that he's going to be out the door. He just doesn't want to have to go through that.
COVID again
there's
was
no one
asked
going
to
to
do
point
it.
that out.
What would have happened if we hadn't given voice?
They're still trying on the way out the door though. Still trying to blame COVID. Yeah, the UK is the only country that had COVID. No, it was a global pandemic. We also invented the fucking vaccine. So what excuse is it that we were the worst affected by COVID, apart from the fact that during the time we were being run by a bunch of utter shitehawks and corrupt sociopaths, the likes of Johnson and Hancock, who is one of the ones who's stepped down because he hasn't even got the decency to take the drubbing that's coming to him in this election, by the way. We've been denied the satisfaction of seeing Matt Hancock being beaten in a in a straight vote. And Mandelson back on now. Christ, they should... I'd say they should have lightning and stuff and thunder in the background, but that'd actually be cool. So he's not deserving of that. But just some sort of sinister warning music.
You know, the legacy that the 45 government inherited wasn't due to the failures of
Why? It's plain for all to see what has happened here. You need not refer to what they think is the expertise of fucking Peter Mandelson, okay? I mean, what was it? 20 odd years ago, you couldn't even say his name on TV. It had to be bleeped out when you were, you know, these are the kind of lengths that this kind of slime are prepared to go to. And this could get ranty in parts 2 and 3, just so you know. By the way, I'm just getting warmed up here. I'm still absorbing the emotion of this exit poll. I'm more than happy to talk over Mandelson, because I'm sure that you know what he's talking about. He's good, trying to lord himself up. But I don't want to talk about him. I want to try and project more positively. Let's see what happens with the Greens. Let's see what happens with the hot seats in question. Can we take any base positives out of this election? We knew that it was going to be between the Tories and Labour anyway. To expect otherwise would be absolutely fantastical. As I said, you know, if the Greens would have, if the Greens win this election, then I would go on camera on the stream and do the Macarena. But it could be a good baseline to have representatives in Parliament. I just hoped that, for all the talk of people being sick of politics, as it were, that more people would have turned away from the main parties. And that happened in the local elections, but this is just, you know, I'm not talking as though it's all done and dusted. It's just the exit poll.
John, there is so much to take away from this exit poll so far. Absolutely.
You have to take some things with a pinch of salt. H. Lukill, thanks for joining us in the chat. Very warm welcome to you this evening. I am going to be right back with you. I'll just be a couple of minutes or so.
Okay, the crucial thing, first of all, you need to realise is that this seat forecast is not just simply a consequence of the national shares of the vote that we expect the parties to gain, but rather how they are distributed geographically and how that has moved decisively against the Conservatives. So, for example, support for the Conservatives is falling much more heavily in places where they are trying to defend a seat than it is in places that Labour already hold. But why is that happening? It's not because Labour are doing spectacularly better in Conservative-held seats. It's because Reform are. Much of the damage to the Conservative Party tonight is being done by Reform, even if it is the Labour Party that proves to be the beneficiary. That point two then, however, the second thing that's making life difficult for the Conservatives is where are Labour doing best? Well, they're doing better in places where they're starting off second to the Conservatives. Oh, and by the way, also places, they also seem to be doing quite well in the battle with the SNP, which I'll come back to that. But equally, why is the Liberal Democrat figure so high? It's not because we're anticipating some spectacular rise in Liberal Democrat support, but rather that Ed Davey's hopes of doing particularly well in seats where the Liberal Democrats are the challengers to the Conservatives. It looks as though that hope is going to be realised. So there are two things that flow from that. First, an obvious health warning. While we are pretty convinced that this pattern will exist by the end of the night, whether we've got it exactly right is much more uncertain. Whether we've slightly overestimated or underestimated these patterns could make quite a lot of difference to the seat.
We'll see. We'll see.
Is that although this looks like an election in which Labour are going to get a landslide in terms of seats, It does not follow. I will repeat, it does not follow.
I will see with my left eye. I spy with my left eye.
In terms of votes. So that's point number one about the broad picture we're presenting this exit poll. The health
Seriously, guys, thanks for being here tonight with me. It does mean a lot. I know that there's a lot of coverage of the live results happening at the moment. Thank you for your shows of solidarity in being here.
Are one, Reform at 13, and two, the SNP at 10. Those are the two figures about which we are least certain. Basically, what we
Well, it's all uncertain. It's just an exit poll.
where there is a small chance
We'll ever get up. I mean,
will win the seat, but we're talking about 20, 30%.
hours to go. I'm going to be with you for another 5 minutes or so, and then take a little break. I'll be resuming. There will be a new link out for part 2. And I'll be catching back with you at about 11:30ish. There's going to be much counting going on and rhetoric. Don't want to hear much more from Peter Mandelson if that can be helped. So going to take a bit of a break while they do all this crap, and sit on this result and have a bit of a think, and then I'll be back for part 2, which is going to be a fairly lengthy one. So get yourselves ready for that if you're going to be staying up all night for the result, as I have to. I'm committed to doing so, and I hope that you'll be joining me as well. But stay put for now. Kossenberg's throwing something in here. I do have to say I wasn't impressed by that attempt at a northern accent when they were talking about one of the seats earlier.
Crash to 10. You've been very clear that those numbers might change. However, are you telling us tonight that the exit polls suggest that those broad movements of voters, massively up for Reform and massively down for the SNP, are there, even if they don't translate into seats?
Yes, and inevitably, well, certainly so far as Reform are concerned, we're very confident that they are doing something not a million miles away from what the final opinion polls were estimating in terms of vote share. It's a question of how that translates into seats, and that's much more difficult to estimate. In the case of the SNP, because we...
No, they're not. The opinion polls had them in 3rd, in front of Lib Dem. So, why are so-called journalists who are supposed to be relaying information to us in an official capacity so immune to various facts, and they have the blinkers on, and they're very selective in what they say? They have selective deafness and selective awareness.
Or 18 rather than 10. Who knows? That's one of the reasons why our viewers should be staying up through the night, because the exit poll gives us a guide, but in the end of the day, it's only the ballot boxes that will tell us the truth.
And I was going to say that. That's exactly why you have to stay up all night with us. John, very significant point there. If the SNP does look like it will be the smallest party, that suggests if they don't have a majority in Scotland anymore, that their push for another independence referendum will be significantly harder to make.
Yeah, John keeping us honest there. No question about that. But the front pages, they're telling their own story, even from the exit poll. Look, the Daily Mail. Labour set for historic landslide there. And we've got the Sun. Britain sees red. Exit poll gives Labour huge 170-seat majority there. So the Sun actually sort of coming out and endorsing Keir Starmer yesterday. The Daily Telegraph is also suggesting on its front page that it's going to be a Labour landslide. So the front pages clearly reflecting the views of that exit poll.
And we'll show you them when we can. For some reason, they weren't firing, but all the newspapers so far, the front page is predicting a Labour landslide indeed.
All right, OK. Daisy Cooper has joined us here from the Liberal Democrats, Deputy Leader. Hello, it's good to see Andrea Leadsom as well, standing down in South Northamptonshire. But it's good to have you both. And West Streeting from Labour with us too. Daisy Cooper, first of all, the exit poll is suggesting that you're going to be up 53 seats. So falling off pedalos, cycling, you know, at great speed down hills in Wales, swimming in sewage. That all makes sense. It worked.
Well, it does look like we're on course for a once-in-a-century result for the Liberal Democrats, and I think that is testament to the phenomenal leadership of Ed Davey, who has lit up this campaign, and our positive vision and our plans for how we want to save the NHS and fix social care.
So those antics got you the airtime, you believe. Ed Davey doing all those things, got you the airtime and got you a voice when it came to trying to get your message out. It worked.
It worked. And the fact of the matter is, we've said time and again that whilst we don't take ourselves that seriously, we do take our politics very seriously. And with every single one of those stunts, there was a very serious message about our plans to, you know, end.
Hello, Ordinary Father. Thanks for bandwagoning with us this evening. I'm going to be around for a few more minutes and then take a little break before part 2. Please do check it out. I do know that No Justice is doing what, like is it a 24-hour live stream or something? So please make sure that you check them out in the breaks as well. Big shout out to No Justice as well for last night's raid, and thanks to all of the new subscribers, etc., who've joined me from there. So yeah, thanks a lot for bandwagoning. I will be right back with you in just a few moments. So
within the rules, and
so you've learned how to play it now. That's what's happened this time. You've learned how to play the first past the post system.
Well, that's it. And what
just for now,
so you have, that is what's happened.
I will leave you in Keith's Fondue Lounge. These are our fantastic members. Thank you so much for helping to support the channel.